Welcome, everyone. My name is Nampombe Saurombe. I'm here on behalf of the ICA Africa Programme, and I'll be the moderator of today's session on leadership and advocacy for record management. This session is part of the ICA Africa Programme series of visual training sessions on topical issues that impact the archival and record management field in the African context. The goal of this training is to share insights on how records and archives practitioners can champion effective advocacy for the profession to all stakeholders to attract the desired support and alignment in advancing the record management agenda. Please note that the webinar will be recorded and shared on ICA social media channels, and you'll be requested or asked to use the Q&A box for all your questions about the presentation, and they will be answered later on. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our speaker today. Our speaker is Prof. Nampombe Saurombe, who you may know very well, a professor in the Department of Information Science at the University of South Africa. She has over 15 years of dedicated experience teaching library and information science courses. Her professional journey includes significant leadership roles in quality assurance within higher education at the College of Human Sciences, University of South Africa. Saurombe's research focuses on vital areas such as public programming of archives, records management, archival advocacy, and the imperative task of decolonizing archives. As the co-chair of the expert group on research services and outreach at the International Council on Archives, she is actively contributing to shaping global discourse in the field. Recognized for her scholarly contributions, Saurombe has presented and published extensively on these topics domestically and internationally. We profoundly thank you, Prof. Nampombe, for agreeing to facilitate this training. And at this moment, the floor is yours, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sepho, for that warm welcome and the introduction. And I would just like to take this moment to greet everyone who is attending here today throughout the continent, across the borders. And I must say that I'm truly honored to come and speak to you today on this topic. I am just going to take a minute to share my presentation. Okay, so I hope that you can see and everything is clear.
Yes, everything's clear. You may go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let me just minimize something here. Yes, so good morning once again, and thank you for joining us today. And as you see, I am going to be speaking about leadership and advocacy for records management, something that is very important. Sorry, I just skipped, just went a bit far. Yes, something that is very, very important. And I think it is also a topic that is very dear to my heart. And I have done some research around this area. A few years back, I did a study in Eastern Southern Africa with regard to advocacy as well as public programming of archives. And it's a very interesting area, which I think still needs a lot of work. Still is very important, but not always seen as such. And I'm just grateful to the ICA and the ICA Africa Programme for taking the time to say that we should meet this morning to speak about leadership and advocacy for records management. So this is just the agenda that I have for this morning. We'll just quickly delve into records management. We'll look into leadership in records management, advocacy for records management, and then I will conclude. As you have heard from several, we would really like to get your comments, your questions. You can even critique me if you want. I'm not all-knowing. but I do like to engage in robust discussions. And we have the Q&A section for the questions, and in the chat, we will use it maybe for other interactions. So this is our agenda for the day. What I hope to achieve this morning is that we'll have a discussion around leadership. I do know that today I have many leaders on board with lots of experience. Maybe you just started, maybe you got that 5 years or 10 years experience, but nevertheless, everything counts. Every experience counts, even if it's for a day. So we'll just talk about leadership and understanding leadership in records management. I will touch on advocacy. And then hopefully by the end of the discussion, we will be able to see how leadership and advocacy can elevate records management in the organizations that we work in. So it is the month of May, and in South Africa, where I am sitting right now in Pretoria, we have been celebrating Africa Month. And I do hope that you do know your history very well. For my colleagues from the continent, those who are not from here, tomorrow is a special day for Africa because we mark the establishment of the African Union. Way back in May 25, 1963, the Organization of African Unity was formed, and I see it fitting that on this week, on this date, that the ICA Africa Programme saw it fit that African professionals in records management, information professionals, gathered to speak about records management in Africa. And I just wanted to bring an African twist to what we are discussing today. So using the chat, I do know right now you're putting your greetings and telling us where you're from, which is great, but I would like us to do something extra. Mention a traditional method or practice from your culture that could be applied to modern records management in the chat section. I just gave an example there. Put your country and the method. I put there Tanzania. In Tanzania, they use storytelling a lot to record events, to pass on knowledge. All of it is to make sure that there is a record of what has happened and that the evidence continues from one generation to another. So I just think that that would be a really interesting aspect of how we can Africanize, or how we also have other methods of records management and the ways of knowing and all that. So let's just do that quickly in the chat and see what is it that we are going to come up with. I will quickly go through those at the end of the discussion. But for now, I just did some research recently and I came across a few oral history, symbolic beading, songs and dance, storytelling, which I mentioned earlier, rock art, kente cloths from West Africa, the patterns. Did you know that that is actually a record of something that happened? And the people from that culture understand and pass it on from generation to generation so that they never forget particular events. They use it for moral trainings and all that. So it's really interesting, the things that we do. So I thought that today, just to make our discussion quite interesting, we should make it African. So mention those methods in the chat. And we will just have a quick look at it at the end of my presentation. So today we're going to talk about records management. So I'm talking to professionals in records management. I just put this definition in so that we could have a common understanding of what records management is all about. Looking at our ICA site, they have this definition available. It says it's a field of administrative management responsible for achieving efficiency and economy in the creation, maintenance, use, and disposal of records. I also went to check out the ISO definition, the standard, and it says it's a field of management responsible for the efficient, systematic control and of the creation, receipt, maintenance, use, and disposition of records, including processes for capturing and maintaining evidence of and information about business activities and transactions in the form of records. So this sounds very, very important. It is not a task that organizations should take lightly, because by doing this, we ensure transparency within the organization. We ensure that information is accessible. We ensure that the right information is retained, and that which needs to be disposed is done so professionally in a systematic manner. And then there's the issue of protection and security nowadays. And of course, the integrity of that information that is in the record, and continuity. That information that is there is very important for continuity in the organization. So records management is important. Records management has been affected or influenced by a lot of things. And I just looked at the different things that have been happening, especially technologically. And I looked at how has records management been influenced in a changing world. For instance, we hear about the fourth industrial revolution, and now I hear we're moving into the fifth industrial revolution, where we speak of artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, all very exciting things which can help with the fast tracking processes, automating processes that would take maybe a person a week or a month can be done in a matter of seconds or minutes. And then there's the issue we spoke about, integrity of records, when we see blockchain technology coming in, and it helps with the trustworthiness, ensuring the trustworthiness of records. And then there's this thing called the Internet of Things that has made our life so convenient and easy. And this helps with connectivity to real-time data, and it enhances information workflows from one directorate to another, and so forth, and decisions are made because of these systems in place. And then there's records management and robotics and big data, and we come across things such as digitization projects, storage solutions, which is a big issue right now. How do we store? Where do we store? There's the issue of obsolescence, all right. Excuse me, English is not my mother tongue. I'm trying. Obsolescence, where issues of cloud storage, and obviously it's all about accessibility. So these are just some of the things that are influencing the way records are managed right now. And I'm sure that even yourself, maybe in your work environment, maybe you are already applying some of these things, and it's influencing the way you do things within your organization, making records management actually a very exciting field to engage in right now. So why are we here today and talking all about this? If records management is important and it's being influenced with all these developments and all that is good, but why is it that we are here today speaking about advocating for records management? What is wrong? The concern is, despite all these rapid technological developments, which have disrupted the methods of records management, it seems that it has not made really a significant impact on the way we raise awareness about the value of records management in our organizations. So this is something that we need to focus on and talk about some more. And that is why I think the ICA Africa Programme thought it was necessary that we had this chat this morning to say, what is it that we can do to advance or to raise awareness, raise the profile of records management in our organization? That is a concern that needs action. So how is records management perceived in your organization? I know that our mics are closed for now, but maybe it's something that you can write in the chat. How is records management perceived in your organization? Is it a priority, or is it something that people don't know about? They just see things functioning, but really don't know the magic that is happening behind the scenes, and they think that it's the computer that is doing everything for them, that they have access to these documents and all that. not knowing that there is a whole division or unit that makes sure that information is available, it is organized in a specific way so that whenever this information is needed, it can be used. That's something that we can talk about. Looking at research that has been done currently in the region, starting from 2015 all the way to 2022, and we have some studies coming out in 2023, and they speak of internal advocacy not being a priority for many records management units within organizations. And this is a problem. And this can be a result of maybe lack of compliance with regulatory frameworks within our organizations. Maybe our records management systems are not functioning very effectively, and that does not give us a very good report in that organization where we work at. There is a low appreciation for the role of records management in organizations. Nobody teaches you what records management is, starting from primary school all the way to that degree that you did. Maybe for you as information professionals, you were introduced to this because this is a career you're going to specialize in. But what about somebody who's doing a Bachelor of Accounting or a Bachelor of Commerce or a BA, or maybe the lawyer might be told, yeah, but you'll find that it's not something that is raised in our systems of education. And as a result, there is a low appreciation for records management in organizations. And obviously, we do have organizations which have backlogs of unprocessed records, and that does not give us a good image at all. There is corruption in certain organizations where records vanish, and that is not good. Obviously, to run an effective records management system or program, you need funds, you need staff, you need training, and sometimes this is not enough, and it affects the way this is done. And then it's something that I just mentioned now, the influence of information communication technology on other developments and other developments on records management, where you see now there is like a competition between the IT, the information technology department within an organization would be shining and seen as the answer to everything. And suddenly records management does not feature as very, very important anymore. And they think that the IT guy can solve all our problems. And this is not the case. But we need to be aware that this is actually happening within organizations as we speak. We spoke about regulatory frameworks, we have policies, we even have legislation that guides how records management should be done within a particular country or region or province that you work in. But as we see, there are rapid developments that are happening in the world right now. And if you look at these regulatory frameworks and legislation, the dates they were set, such things as artificial intelligence did not exist. Blockchain technology did not exist. Big data was not a discussion. Actually, paper records was what was important at that point in time. And our frameworks are not keeping up with these developments at the pace at which they are happening. And this can be a very major concern. And obviously, the problem could be with us ourselves as records managers or information professionals, where we are reluctant to facilitate access to information. Why are you a records manager? Is it a calling? Are you passionate about your job? Or you are there just because of that paycheck? Think again. So you find sometimes that we are reluctant. We're not really passionate about what we do. We don't really think about the impact of what we do on people's lives, on organizational success and other reasons. So reluctance can hinder records management. And sometimes record managers are compliance driven, where the record rules, where staff and users of the records are unimportant. And we forget, you prioritize that record, you make sure that you attain it, you process it, it is stored, but you forget that that record is kept for use, for somebody to access it. You forget that that person who needs to use that record is also important. So there's an element of where we forget about the user of the record, and that is something that I think we're going to talk about a lot in this presentation this morning, where yes, the record is important. Please don't get me wrong. It is important, but we must always remember that records are kept for use. So you need to remember the user. Is the user satisfied with the service that you're offering? Can they access that information? Is the information that has been accessed, is it properly organized? Is it the integrity of the record? And many other aspects that go into managing records. But we always must remember that the user of the record is also very, very important. And we kind of forget that at some point in time as records managers, or even in my other research with archivists. It's a concern that needs to be addressed. We need to change. I'm going to move on. Now we're just going to delve into the issue of leadership. Is leadership in records management necessary? That's something that we need to also think about and see what kind of skills, what kind of characteristics, what is it that we need to do to ensure that we are effective leaders, or you actually lead that unit that you're responsible for, in ensuring that they perform, and they don't just perform, they provide an effective and efficient service to the organization that you are working with. So there's no doubt that leadership is important. It is very, very important. And it involves guiding teams to ensure proper handling, storage, and disposal of records. Effective leaders in records management will exhibit qualities such as integrity, communication skills. You have to have very good communication skills if you're leading a team. And obviously, you need to be committed to continuous improvement. We spoke about integrity, the nature of the records that you are going to deal with. When we're looking at the definition of records management, we touched on things such as integrity of the records. We spoke about protection and security, which has become very, very critical in the world that we live in right now with hackers and all such other threats. There's the issue of information governance. It is a very important element as well. So integrity plays a key role here. Communication. I don't know, this really depends when I speak of guiding teams. You might be alone in a unit, but you definitely will have to work with maybe another department or other people within that organization so that record management is done effectively and efficiently. But usually it depends on the size of that particular organization. But in this case, I'm just going to assume that you're not doing this work alone, you work with a team. When you work with a team, when you lead a team, you need to communicate with your team. So communication skills become critical. And obviously the commitment to continuous improvement. I just mentioned of how the world is changing. And as it changes, we also have to adapt. If you are not committed to continuous improvement, continuous learning, in other words, becoming a lifelong learner, it will be very difficult for you to lead an effective and efficient records management program within an organization. And obviously, you will have to have leadership skills, which will help you to navigate complex regulatory frameworks and organizations. So what are the characteristics of effective leaders? I'm sure if I open this up, we could stay for days speaking about this, but I'll just mention a few, and please do note that this is not all of them. Maybe there's some that you could add on in the chat. So first and foremost, we're looking at you as the leader. Self-awareness, self-awareness. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe to add on to this point is the issue of emotional intelligence, which is a really critical skill for leaders in this day and era, where you need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses. You need to know what you're good at, what you're not so good at. You need to know how to control your emotions. You need to know, be aware of how your actions affect others, how you speak, how you portray yourself. And remember, people don't just look at what they don't just listen to what you say, they also look at what you do. So being self-aware is critical. And after really reflecting on who you are, you'll be able to know what is it that I need to improve? What is it that I need to learn so that I can become the best version of myself, so that I can also lead others to become the best versions of themselves as they complete their records management, the different tasks that they do within the records management unit. Self-awareness also includes health, because sometimes we always think about the technicality and meeting goals and leading people, and then we forget about our physical and mental health. If you are not well, you will not be able to lead. So please make sure that you do not ignore your personal well-being. A clear mind makes better decisions. A depressed mind does not. A healthy person will be able to lead and think critically and make decisions and disrupt and participate and do all these things. A sickly person will definitely not do that. Remember, you are a leader. People are influenced by what you do. A sickly person doesn't really portray a very good picture to imitate or emulate. I do know that there are other reasons where we are people, we have ailments and how we deal with those in different ways. But sometimes I think we neglect ourselves. We don't exercise, we don't eat well, and we forget that all this affects the way we do our work. So self-awareness is critical as a leader, and it will have a direct impact on how you lead and how you perform your duties. Respect. Now we're going to linking you and your team. Value the opinions of others. Create trust, ease tension and conflicts. There's something else called conflict resolution skills, which is very critical as a leader because you need to help your team. There might be disagreements. How do we handle disagreements? And obviously, respect within the team is very, very important to get so that you can get the trust of your team and you can also trust them in their various responsibilities. Compassion is critical. I think if there's something that we've had to learn during the height of the pandemic was compassion. And it was really difficult while we were isolated and colleagues were sick and going through different challenges and bereavements, and things had changed and the way of working had changed. And yes, we still had deliverables, but compassion and empathy played a key role in making sure that we could survive that pandemic and still deliver that which we had to do. So compassion is very, very important. You must have a vision for your records management unit or division, and you must be able to connect your team to this vision. Everyone in that team must be on board with that vision. You need to inspire your team to say that to achieve this goal, we need to do X, Y, Z. And everybody here has a role to do that. And I mean everybody, even the cleaner in that department. She or he must know that by ensuring that we have a clean environment, we will be able to function well and better. So everybody in your team must understand that vision. Obviously, you have an organizational vision and you need to know how records management contributes towards the achievement of that vision. Communication, as I said, you need to listen to, you need to communicate, be able to communicate to a wide range of people. You will have your colleagues as the team, but you should also be able to communicate to executive management, senior management, mid-level management, so that you can get the support and the resources that you need so that your team can function effectively. So communication skills become really, really important. Learning agility. As I said, we live in a changing world and we need to be agile. You know, like a rubber band. If you pull it back and you let it go, it just bounces back. It doesn't break. Something like that. You learn and continue learning until the day you die. Lifelong learning. That is key. And you need to know what to do when you don't know what to do. It's not always easy to know all that you need to learn. And I think that is where we really need to have good networks. Good networks help you. For instance, I know I'm in South Africa. We have the SASA organization for records managers and archivists. And it's in those forums where we have discussions on latest technology, leadership, and all those things. And said, aha, oh, so there is this new thing. Let me catch up, do a course. Or these days, you can even do learning on MOOCs or self LinkedIn learning. The ICA itself offers courses on their website, which you can learn and upgrade yourself. I think in Kenya, they have Karma. I was privileged to speak to at their conference last year. Those are the forums you go to and you learn. What is it that I don't know? What is it that I have to do? Even if you look at the way they share about best practice and all that, it helps you. You need to be information literate. Not knowing is okay, but just doing nothing about it is what is wrong. And us as information professionals, we must be on the ball. I don't know this. What is it that I'm going to do so that I know? Or make that decision to say, this is what I need to know so that I can fulfill my task better. Please don't go out there and learn everything because you will go crazy. It's not possible. You need to be focused on what is it that you need to help you achieve the task at hand or the how you should perform better in that position that you are in. So please, learning agility is key. And remember that you are a leader. You learn, you encourage others to learn, you support. Collaboration, you need to be able to work with a variety of people. For instance, I spoke about IT departments suddenly becoming very, very popular rather than other units because of all these technological advances that are happening currently in the world. Instead of competing with the IT department, we need to find ways where we can collaborate and get, and benefit and learn from one another and show them that, yes, you have the tech, we have the knowledge and the wisdom of what should be done. We need to work together if we want to achieve the organizational goals. By working together, we will achieve more rather than competing. And then there's the issue of influence, which we're going to speak about more when we come to advocacy. You need to be able to persuade people to understand your vision, to understand your importance, to understand your contribution towards achieving the organization's goals. So, and is this persuasion mean that you should be a bully and just bulldoze everybody into getting your point? No. You need to do this through logical, emotional, and cooperative appeals. Remember, we spoke about that issue of self-awareness. Maybe there's something that you need to learn on how you communicate with others. So as I said, learning never stops. Integrity, we need to be honest. Please don't promise the world and you just deliver a province or something. It is very, very important that we are honest. This is what we can do at this level with these resources. Maybe in an attempt to try to make yourself look so good and popular, you say, no, this is a very easy task. My team and I can accomplish this within a week, yet it is a month's task. You're not being honest. Be honest. Honesty helps. Being dishonest does not portray a good picture of yourself and of your team. Courage. Remember that you, as I said, within an organization, there are different divisions, different units, and you all need a slice of that pie of the budget. To take, for example, if it's coming to financial management and you need the resources. And you might find that finance don't have a problem, or human resources don't have a problem of getting a good slice of that pie. But when it comes to records, you get a teeny tiny piece of the pie. I think there comes a point where you need to have the courage to stand up and say, respectfully so, I would like to disagree. You need to be able to stand out and say, this will not work. This is what we need so that we can achieve these goals, so that we can contribute towards the success of the organization. It needs courage. It doesn't mean just keeping quiet and letting others lead the show all the time. And that is not always an easy task, but courage is important. And obviously, there's the element of gratitude and rewarding. You work with the team, everybody contributes, and everybody's input is important. But are you going to be that leader who gets all the glory and you do nothing for your team? That is not right. It is important to express gratitude. It is important, if possible, to reward good work. And it helps to make sure that the good work continues. And resilience, if there's anything that we need in the world we live in right now, is resilience. Things are changing. We have challenges. We have new things coming up every day, learning this, learning that. I'm in an institution of open distance e-learning, and we do e-learning. And I can tell you the teaching and learning practices that I practice now, I did not dream of doing when I started working like 12 years ago. But here I am now, resilient, trying to adapt and go with the flow. I am not going to drown. That is the kind of attitude that we need. That yes, we are faced with different things, artificial intelligence and all this, and there are other elements of society and all that. Differences in policies, legislation is changing, all sorts of things that are changing. Are we going to remain the same, or are we going to be resilient and vow to make sure that we will not break? We will try our best to adapt and see what works for us. And as always, delivering on the mission. So these are just kind of the characteristics that will help us to be effective leaders in our records management divisions or units. Now I would like to spend some time speaking about levels of leadership in records management. I was contemplating speaking about leadership styles, but I think this is a topic, leadership styles is a topic that is spoken out a lot about in organization. You know, when you speak about charismatic leaders, transformational leaders, servant leadership, and it's something that really needs a lot of time. So I decided to skip that for today because we don't have a lot of time. And I looked at a study completed by a lady called Jordan Grimmer, and she looked at leadership in archives and records management units. And out of her data, she came to realize that records management staff and archivists as well have another way of categorizing the kind of leaders that they work for in their organizations. And these leaders are outlined here on the slide. And what she really emphasized, which I really like, is that in our training as information professionals in archives and records management, she highlighted the point that we don't spend enough time learning and training with regards to leadership and records, particularly leadership in records management and archives management. And this has led to many units not having highly effective leaders. There's another gentleman by the name of Bruce Dearstein. I think he's also made it his life's mission. He's written some books on this as well, on leadership in records management. And he's saying that we keep on ignoring this. We think we can fix it with a one-day workshop or just a session like this in an hour. And he says, no, 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 no. This is something that is serious, and leadership courses must be included in curriculums. Whether that is happening in our information schools in Africa, it's something that we can look at and see what is it that we can do. So in Grimmer's study, she came across 4 levels of leaders. The first one is a negative leader. And she says this is a leader, in most cases, is somebody who fits the bill, has the qualifications, distinctions, cum laude, has worked well individually in certain units, and fits the bill and can be a leader. And you find that this person is promoted to lead the unit. But you find that this person is just focused on processing quota. He doesn't really, or she doesn't really focus on cohesiveness, working with a team, not really good at getting feedback. His or her point is always the best. And she said that this leads to an unmotivated staff and perhaps very high turnover. Nobody wants to work for somebody like this. Second, she talks of the mild to positive leader. You know, this leader has good intentions, but little or no vision of how to achieve this. This person is also not good at mobilizing a team to realize the objectives of the unit. The third leader, and she says most record managers and archives managers at the time of her study fit into category number 3. They had new ideas and insights to increase performance, but still fails to develop the strengths of the team. There is no delegation. The success of the unit totally relies on this leader. It's like, my name is also Nams. Nams is not here, or Nams was hit by a bus, and suddenly the unit is lost. And that is bad. And then we come to the last one, the outstanding leader who develops a climate of mutual inspiration, who knows that the team is only successful because of its team members, and is out there trying to make sure that the team is capacitated so that they can achieve the very best of what they need to do. Focuses on shaping, directing, and changing programs and ensuring effectiveness and success. And this team leader is focused on creating a team of outstanding leaders. So I think you see throughout this thread, it's all about the team. Yeah, it's all about the team that you lead. How well do you work with them to make sure that you achieve that which you need to achieve? How do you support them? Do you create a conducive area, environment where your team can work? Are the team excited to come to work, or it's Monday again? Oh, now I have to go back, and people just dread, or is it like I can't wait for Monday? Or people are just so cheerful because you work as a team, you cherish one another, you are there to support one another, you have one vision. The leader is there to make sure that everybody succeeds. If one person is down, what is it that we can do so that they can bring up, we can help you to, so that you can get to your feet again and start performing again? You know, all those elements we're talking about, empathy, compassion, learning agility, all comes into play. So I want you to think about yourself today. What category leader are you? I won't let you write in the chat. But just think, this is something for self-reflection. Are you an outstanding leader? Are you a negative leader? Are you a mild positive leader? Or you are a good to great leader? So this is just a quote that I got from Sandquist and Sward, and this is what they say: as a leader, the management of records requires an understanding of an organization's culture to establish how records are appreciated and used, the attitudes of employees, the management of the organization, and the norms embraced by the organization. So you need to have a good understanding of this and incorporate this in the way you run your unit. As I said, an organization has a vision. You need to connect with that vision, you and your team. Your team must be able to explain that this is our work. And by doing our work, we contribute to this particular objective within our organization. So it is very, very important that you know this. Now, I'd just like to jump on quickly to the issue of advocacy. The power of advocacy. Remember, as I said in the beginning, records are kept for use. Remember always that records are kept for use. So really, we are talking about the people element today. And I'm not really talking about the technicalities and the arrangements and all that. I really want to focus on the people that use the records and how you need to win them over so that the agenda of records management is not hindered wherever you work today. And thank you so much for the emojis that are coming through. They're really encouraging me. Thank you. So what is advocacy? I looked at this definition. It says advocacy is an investment that records managers make intentionally and strategically to educate and engage individuals in an organization so that they in turn will engage in and support records management activities within a particular organization. This is very, very important. It's intentional. It needs to be strategic. You need to invest. And as I said, it involves educating and engaging individuals in an organization so that you can get their support, so that they can appreciate you, so that they can use the systems better, so that we can all function and make sure that we realize the goals of the organization. Sometimes we confuse advocacy and marketing. And today I thought I should just bring out some key points. So when I was reading the literature, they said that advocacy and marketing are synonymous, but not exactly the same. Synonymous, but not exactly the same. So when it comes to advocacy, as I said, it's intentional. It's within an institutional, there's a targeted context, there's a purpose. We want to make sure that we can employ 2 more staff in our unit. So that is our goal. So there's a target there. All our effort, our campaign is towards getting 2 people in the records management unit. Whilst marketing is usually a general context, you'll use the intranet to explain your services, and this goes out to the entire company or the entire organization or institution. And marketing can be ongoing, but when it comes to advocacy, it is need-based. For instance, I'm telling you this example, we need 2 more staff members on our team so that we can achieve optimum performance. That will not be an ongoing target. There is a timeline. As I said, it is issue-based, whilst marketing is based on the records or the institution. In advocacy, you need to be intentional. You need to be persuasive. Marketing is more educational. This is what we do. This is what you can benefit from us. Please visit us. Please join us for this and that. More educational. Advocacy is active because you need to get those funds, you need to get those people on your team and so forth. Marketing can be rather passive. Maybe it is one of the objectives that you always have on your strategic plan, and suddenly it becomes one of those events that we always do in September every year, whilst advocacy will be an active event for a specific timeline. Advocacy is stakeholder oriented. You are targeting specific people. If you want to get 2 more employees on your team, would you speak to the entire organization? No, you're going to be talking to executive management, senior management. While marketing is audience oriented, maybe you want to just speak to the HR department. There's an audience there. It's usually even a bigger audience which you are targeting. So please have these 2 definitions in mind, the differences in mind, not definitions, rather the differences in mind, so that you know for sure when you're doing that campaign, is this an advocacy campaign or we're merely getting involved in marketing? Very, very important. The purpose of advocacy is to create or get support for a cause or critical matter. You want to build recognition of an issue. For instance, I spoke about getting 2 more staff members on your team. You want to help those stakeholders understand why we need these 2 staff members on our team. You want to bring about positive change. You want to influence decisions, policies, or programs. And obviously, it's all about building alliances. So usually they say advocacy is always linked to politics and lobbying and all that. But in this case, we're not going to speak about politics, knowing that as a South Africa, we're voting next week. We're just going to talk about building alliances within organizations. So very, very important that you know what the purpose of advocacy is when you embark on that advocacy campaign for your unit. So, what kind of leadership skills do you need for effective advocacy? Obviously, we spoke about effective communication and presentation skills. As I said, you need to be able to speak to a wide variety of audiences. We spoke about stakeholders. You're going to be speaking to different stakeholders. You cannot have one message that fits all of them. If you're going to speak to executive management, your message must be structured in such a way that you can get them to understand what you do. You speak in their language. They speak money, they speak time, they speak office space, deliverables. How do those deliverables directly link to the vision 2030 of our company and all that? You need to be able to communicate that. Presentation skills. These days, you can get 5 minutes to pitch your proposal to your CEO. Are you able to communicate within those 5 minutes? If you don't, go and learn, because you never know. You might get that CEO or that senior manager or something in the parking lot for 3 minutes. Will you be able to deliver your message to them within those 3 minutes? Because opportunities come at any point. You might get that appointment, great. You might be in that meeting, great. But other opportunities come in weird places, at the supermarket, maybe you're traveling, suddenly you bump into each other at the airport in the waiting lounge. Use the moment, seize it. Within that time, get your message through. And this is something that you can do for your entire team. And that I was saying, that even the lady who cleans for you in the office, the administrator, the secretary, they must know that we are doing this work so that we can achieve this. So everybody sings the song, you know. And you need to have specific messages for the different stakeholders. Research and analytical skills is very, very important. You need to work with facts. Remember, we said that being honest is critical. You do not want to lie or overpromise. You want to work with facts. And as I said, there could be budgets involved, staff, labor relations. I know in my area where we speak about labor relation laws, there are many things that go into justifying maybe employing somebody on your team. You need to know where to find that information. You need to know how to package it in such a way that the people understand. And as I said, work with facts. And we talk about the integrity of information. There's a lot of fake information out there. So make sure that the facts that you have are actually true. So you need to be able to do research. You need to be able to portray, be it in graphs or those pie charts, be able to put maybe an infographic, explain the work of your unit in one slide, you know? You can do that these days. You don't have to present 10 PowerPoint slides to get your vision across. You can use one slide with a colorful infographic to show how processes run from the beginning to the very end. And people say, oh, so that's what you do. Huh, they get it. So, but you need facts, you need the research, you need the data to do that. Negotiation skills, I think it's something that we spoke about. You need to be persuasive. Maybe we can look at politicians for this because they're really good at that. But you need to be persuasive so that you can get your point across and get the support that you need. Resilience, you need to adapt to changes. Remember, even though we want positive change, it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes we get setbacks. You get no and no and not yet. We will look into it. Come again that time. Are you supposed to give up? No. We need to be resilient. Coalition building, alliances within the organization. Let every unit know that they need you to survive. They need you to survive because you manage their records. So go and do the work. Go and speak to them. Become allies rather than competitors. And then teamwork and facilitative. You need to encourage participation within your team. Everybody has a different responsibility. They need to participate. We spoke about learning agility, opportunities, go out there, learn this, go do this. You have a plan. This is the kind of skills that we need. So and so is going to learn. She will come and teach us. Things like that. You need to get your team working, get them to participate, and we all grow together. You need to be assertive. Remember, we spoke about courage. This is where it really links up very well. We're not saying that you should just go out there and bulldoze everything. You need to be assertive, respectfully so, get your point across. Don't just sit in the background and wait until somebody calls out for you. It may never happen. And that's why advocacy is so important. So as a leader, you need to be assertive. Support is very important if you want to have group cohesion in your team. So support and never give up on supporting. Your team will also support you in other situations. Be disruptive in a positive way, please. Be disruptive in a positive way. You can disagree. You can agree to disagree. You can challenge constructively, but do not be negative and want to be seen as the all-knowing, all-clever records manager or director so-and-so and saying, we are in the era of 4IR. You guys are talking about things of 2IR and trying to be pomp, and it doesn't always work. It might work, doesn't always work. But I think we are in times where things are changing so quickly that if we do not speak out and ask for certain changes and things to happen, it will not happen. Sometimes you need to disagree to say, what you're bringing us now is totally outdated. We need this kind of technology right now if we are going to progress. And then accountable, you need to give feedback, you need to evaluate that all that you have done. It's always good to see what is it. We have maybe a advocacy strategy that you went out on. Different people are given different responsibilities. Report back, evaluate. Did it work? Did it not? What is it that we're going to change? I spoke about rewards and gratitude. Please recognize the contributions of your team. And again, we already spoke about personal wellness. It is very important for you to achieve at anything, your physical and mental health become very, very critical. So this is just an infographic of what you can do when you want to plan that advocacy strategy. And as I start there on point 1, you need to identify goals and the target audience. So you need to know your organization, know your vision, your mission, link your goals of the unit to that. You need to decide on key promotion and advocacy messages that you're going to use. This could be activities and statements. And as I said, at the back of your mind, always remember that records are kept for use. You need to identify the best method of delivery. Is it print for your organization or is digital better? Is it going to be at events, meetings? Do you have a website? Do you have an intranet? Do you use social media? Whatever method works for you to achieve maximum output. Resources, obviously you need finances, you need people, sometimes you need skills. You need to outline what resources that you need and make a plan to get them. You need to have a well-outlined plan, so project management can be helpful here, where you have target dates, you have responsibilities, you record achievements and that which has not been done. And obviously at the end, you evaluate what has worked, what has not, what are we changing? What are we going to do so that we can become better at what we do? I just have a simple scenario here that I thought I should share with you. Totally fictitious. Nobody here works in this company. It doesn't exist. So this is Africa Health and Secure. It's an insurance company. The records management division, this is the situation that's happening now, the background to the problem. The records management division is facing a significant budget reduction. Despite the company's overall financial health and success, the records management division is largely underappreciated and misunderstood. Now we come to the situation at hand. Executive management will be reallocating a portion of that budget to support the expansion of the information technology unit, that IT unit. This has resulted in the retrenchment of 2 staff members and the postponement of much needed computer upgrades, which has been delayed for 5 years now. So what is going to be the impact of all this? There is staff retrenchment, there is outdated technology impeding effectiveness and compromising quality and accessibility of records, and obviously low visibility and understanding of what the RM unit does. So the objective here now is we need to help the head of the division, Ms. Nampombe, and her team to address these challenges so that the unit can secure the resources and advocate the critical role of the division at this company. So what can they do? Obviously, Nandi and her team have to evaluate what they actually do. Is everything okay with the work we do? Are we lagging behind? Are issues preventing performance and all that? And this is painting a bad picture of the unit. And they also need to identify key stakeholders that they need to approach whenever they do this advocacy campaign. The leader, Ms. Nampombe, needs to inspire and motivate her team. Remember, 2 people have left, and she needs to find ways of retaining talent, maybe rehire, or she might have to hire other people. There must be an advocacy plan, which will be targeting increasing awareness and appreciation of the unit. They need to develop key messages and select the best channel to communicate these to senior management and other departments. Obviously, they need to be cost effective. Remember, the budget has been cut. They could also explore partnerships within the organization that can help them in this campaign. And the expected outcome would be that the company would understand the vital role of records management in a health insurance context. They will be able to develop and implement leadership strategies to navigate budget constraints effectively. They need to do a serious advocacy campaign to get support. And they also need to create a robust action plan that ensures the division's sustainability and continued contribution to health secures success. So I just use that other infographic for them in this case, meaning that the goals and the target audience are outlined there. They need to meet the needs of the company and the concerns and address these. And the target audience in this case would be the CEO, the CFO, the department heads, and that IT unit that is getting a bigger chunk of their money. And other departments that rely upon their records, such as the claims department and the customer service department in that particular company. Their key messages would be around these key issues: effectiveness of their unit, what their unit does to support the company. They must explain to management that by budget cuts, what is going to happen. They need to demonstrate return on investment. This is the critical thing that is happening right now in many records management units, divisions, archives, even libraries, all the entire information profession. You need to be able to demonstrate return on investment. You need to speak money language. I know most of us sometimes we say that, we are social scientists, we speak with people, and we kind of overlook that element of understanding budgets and planning and how to demonstrate things in money value, because executive management sees money, senior management understands cost, and you need to be able to speak in that language. If you can't, you will always be overlooked. Always. So look up on that topic of return on investment. How can you explain that from a records management perspective, from an archives perspective, from a library's perspective? Another thing that you need to do, as I said, is supporting data. You need to work with facts and data. You need to speak of your successes. Look at organizational progress and clearly outline how that unit in this particular company contributed towards that, because it seems that they did not understand that. Appoint records management champions in the different departments. And these should be influential individuals who have the capacity, they can be trained, and so that you have a person in every department. So when they do the discussions, when you're not there, you know that you have an ambassador there who will be speaking for you and state how you can contribute towards helping them achieve their goals. So that is really, really important. And obviously, you need resources. Sometimes, in this case, you see that their money was cut, but you need to be creative as the leader. You might have to look at other means of getting these funds. And if you can, explain. Maybe there are certain things that you can cut back on so that you can still get your staff in and still be able to function effectively and efficiently. And obviously, at the end, evaluation is very, very important. Quickly, I'm just going to finish off quickly the do's and don'ts of your advocacy campaign. Do's: know your organization, understand the records management culture, connect to the values of the organization, connect the values of the organization to your records management responsibilities, find out what people need, collaborate, be visible and resilient, deliver what you promise. Self-improvement, very, very important. Seize the moment. You snooze, you lose. Don't assume you know what people need. You really need to talk to the people and see what they need. Don't assume that they know what you do. That is why we have advocacy campaigns and maybe even marketing campaigns. Do not compete. Do not manipulate. Instead, inspire. Don't provide problems, rather work on providing solutions. Don't be inconsistent. It's not nice. You promise this, it happens today, the next day it doesn't, and all that. Something to do with honesty there. Don't ignore feedback. Remember the different kind of levels of leadership we spoke about? Most of them ignore feedback. I hope that you are not going to be leaders of that type. Don't lie. Don't let setbacks discourage you. In conclusion, um, leadership skills that you need when it comes to leadership and advocacy: know how to tackle challenges, have a leadership mindset where you are visionary, you are open to continuous learning, you are open to collaboration, and obviously ethical behavior always becomes very important. Empower your team members through delegation, mentorship, capacity building, and a conducive work environment to encourage growth. Be influential and in the drive for change. Never ever give up on the drive for change. Prioritize personal well-being. Self-care enhances decision-making. And when it comes to advocacy techniques, effective communication, build relationships and networks, leverage technology, whatever you have access to, work with it. What is in your hands? Work with what you have. Obviously, there are issues of data analytics. We're talking about the data and the information you need to portray to senior management and all that. Data analytics becomes very, very handy. Social media platforms and other means of technology will also be helpful. Measure impact of your advocacy efforts, demonstrate results, and refine your advocacy strategies. So I want to end with this Swahili proverb, which says, penye nia pana njia, which means where there is a will, there is a way. And with those, I spoke almost for an hour, so it's not few words. With that, I would just like to say thank you for listening to me. And I am gonna end here, and I look forward to listening to your questions and comments. Maybe I'll hand over to Sepot for the next few seconds. Thank you.
Yes, wow. Thank you so much for your practical, interactive, and lively presentations. I can see the audience is clapping for you and sending all these emojis and links that they are happy with your presentation. But at this moment, we would like to get questions and comments from the audience. Yeah. Please let's get some questions, but we already have some comments and questions on the Q&A box or chat box. I'm not sure if you can see them there, Prof, but I can read them out to you.
Yes, I can see them. I can actually I can actually read them out. I think I only have 7 questions, which is not much. I can quickly go through them.
Yes,
And
yes.
I do
Go
have
ahead.
experts here to support me. I have Dr. Masuel Tsepo, and I see Dr. Cleophas Ambira is also on board. I want to acknowledge him. He is the head of the ICA Africa Programme. Thank you. So the first one here, it comes from Adam Pam, or Pam Adam. Thank you for this excellent talk. As Chief Archives, Library and Records Management at UNESCO, I witnessed many of statements you do. So I think this is a comment. Thank you so much for this. This is really encouraging. And then we have a question here from Goret, Nairobi. And this question says, what can one do if a boss or supervisor uses what you've told him or her against you? We're talking people here today, so this is getting really, really a bit kitschy, but it is an important question. What can you do? What can one do if a boss or supervisor uses what you've told him or her against you? I think this is really, it sounds almost personal, I think. I don't know what you think, Seppo, but I do know that every organization has systems in place on how to handle such cases. I'm sure your supervisor has a supervisor which you can use to help you handle this thing. I do not recommend keeping quiet and leaving it unattended to. If possible, I really want to say that, as we said, we want leaders who are approachable. So I should be able to approach my leader and say that I think what you have done is not right for these reasons. Can we talk about this and sort it out? If it doesn't work, I would say go to the next level until it is sorted through the channels provided within your organization. I think that is where I will leave that question. And then the next one says, as African, are we really at a good stage when it comes to good records management within our units? Well, if I cite some of the literature, and in this presentation, there are some references at the end, it does say that we are still working towards that. So, but there are some good cases. There are some good best practice situations, which I have heard from in different conferences and other forums or visits that we have had. So there are units that are doing very well. And there are some who are struggling. And as I said, this is all about continuous learning and getting there. But I feel like you need to do the best with what you have. So the answer could be yes and no. But you know for yourself at what point or at what stage you think you're at. And I do wish you the very best at getting to optimum performance in that unit. Okay, moving on to Tokozani Bozabewe. Some leaders fear that when they impart the knowledge to their juniors and motivate them, they may be outshined, and this lets the organization and team down. Very valid comment. And as I said, we are people and we are different, and some people think that this is okay. But I really feel that we can all shine. We can all shine. And I believe that we need to remember that whatever we are doing it to the benefit of the organization. So it doesn't become about me and Seppo. It becomes about what is the organization going to achieve through this. So leaders, let us not be selfish. Let us not hold back. Let us be supportive and help people develop. And I want to believe that we didn't just become leaders. Somebody out there mentored me, helped me to help me become or reach where I am today. And I think it is my responsibility to help others so that they can also grow and progress. So definitely you're raising a very, very important comment there. I'm going to move on to another anonymous attendee who is saying, one of the major problems of the bad perception of records and archives management in our organizations in my country, I don't know where you come from, anonymous, so it's an anonymous country, is that they appoint non-professionals to rule records management services or structures, such as university libraries, archives, services. How can we do as a professional in such services? This is very, very true. You find that some executive or people who are superior to us, or the influential governing departments or bodies that oversee our records management, libraries and archives, as you said, they are not archivists or records managers and all that. And I've seen that we do complain a lot about this, but this is why we are here today. We have heard that we need to persuade, we need to educate, we need to inform them. Let us not assume that they know. But maybe they're also committed to continuous learning. So let us not write them off and see how is it that we can help them understand what we do so that they can support us in our activities. So I think the discussion that we had today is all about going out there, being assertive, getting your message across, the data. Make sure that you get this message across so that that particular office or that particular individual has a clear understanding of what you do. Report on your achievements. Provide them with reports on what your progress reports. I know most of us have those quarterly reports, annual reports, and all that. Maybe in the organization's annual report, you only have 2 sentences. How can that be? Ask them for a page or a paragraph so that you make yourself known, be assertive, have the courage to go out there. But as I said, you need to be strategic, you need to be smart, you need to be disruptive. Those are the kind of leaders that we need now, disruptive in a positive way. And as I said, we have forums. I gave examples like in South Africa, we have SASA. I know there's a forum in Botswana, in Kenya. Let's go to those forums and talk about this and let's speak about this in detail. Like now, I've been very general and specific because I'm speaking to the entire African continent. But you know frameworks, legislation, company policies that exist in your region, and see how is it that you can work together to get this message across to everyone. But again, let us look at how we work and perform. We might not be doing so well. If we're not doing so well and then we go out there to speak, it will hit back on us to say, you're speaking like this and this and this, but your reports are always late. That's not going to give us a good perception. So we could speak forever about this. I will stop here on that question. I see Rita has written. She is saying, how can leaders influence mindset change within organization to ensure that records management is embraced as a strategic asset rather than a compliance task? It's true, because we are seen as police, and people are scared of police, but police are there to protect you and to help you and to make sure that we are safe. And as I say, this is conversations. What is it that you can do to change that? It will take time. You might need to use different strategies. As I said, if you have an intranet, use it. Put those messages out there, a Facebook page. In the meetings, ask for those 2 minutes. Use infographics. You understand your context and you know what will work better for you. But what I'm trying to say is don't keep quiet. Do not keep quiet. Do something so that you can change the status quo. And then I see here from Esther, she's saying, what are some of the outdated legislation and regulatory frameworks that exist? Maybe I can report on something that we have been going through in South Africa lately. I think from last year up to early last year, we've been reviewing the National Archives and Records Service. Okay, it's NARSA, just vanished what the acronym stands for. But we've been reviewing the act. And what I loved is that it was a consultative process because there's a lot that has changed. When it was developed, it was more of a paper-based um, society that we were working in. And now we have been going through a series of um, workshops, feedback, focus group, and I'm really looking forward to what is going to be the end product of that. So just look at the legislation. Most of the legislation, I looked at legislation when I did my research on Esabica. Most of it came out just after independence or in the 80s there. And things are not the same from the 80s and now in 2024. So just look at your own legislation in your country and see what happened then and what happened now. For instance, I can give you an example. Most of the legislation is saying that how do we market records management and archives? They speak about brochures. Yes, brochures can work, but we had a pandemic and we couldn't hand out brochures. So we had to change. So it's not that they are bad, it's just that keeping up with the change has become quite difficult. But it can be done. As I said, I gave you an example of what has happened in South Africa. Thank you for the presentation. This is from Mary. What is your comment on a situation where government policy conflicts with international and professional requirements? How best can the leader manage? And I've been speaking for a long time. Can I just tap into the expertise of some of my panelists here? Is Dr. Ambira still on? He's here. Dr. Ambira, would you mind answering this question, helping me out on this one? I know that you're an expert. If you could just unmute your mic and try and answer this question by Mary. Thank you.
Hi, Prof. This is the question of is it about conflict on policy and government?
Yes. Thank you.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think that's why this whole advocacy is important. When the policy doesn't seem to reflect best practice, and understandably so, because we do know things like ISO standards on records management, we haven't quite integrated them in the way we work even here in Africa. Now that's our work as records managers. And that's where advocacy comes in. That's where leadership is. So it's your work to understand and figure out, how do I socialize my organization? Because one of the things you have to do as a records manager is to have a records management policy, isn't it? And I know it needs to be reviewed and updated. So how to deal with it, it's for you as a records person then to be able to feed in those insights, those details, because I'm imagining then you are leading even the review and updating of the records management policy, whether it's government or whichever institution. And then therefore that review should be able to bring in these insights. Let's not lose the fact that the understanding of records management is not yet as ingrained across the continent. And so we have to continuously, it's upon us. One of the mistakes we make as records managers, we expect people who don't understand records management to develop the right policies. It can't happen. So
thank you so much.
Is you as records managers figure out and you understand the people. If it's in your organization, you understand them, you know their dynamics. But I can tell you for a fact, there's no black and white straight path formula for one shoe fits all size, fits all. You have part of your leadership is how do you navigate the uniqueness of your organization and then be able to educate the people and bring in those international best practices in the policy.
Thank you very much for that. Our time is quickly running out. I see a question on AI and records management. That's the next assignment for Africa ICA program. And there's another one on blocks you know, where you're trying this and it's blocked and you can't move forward. Well, as I said, resilience is the answer to that. And then I see questions on scholarships and the likes. I think if you go to the ICA website, contact ICA Africa Programme, they will be able to give you more information on that. And this is where I would like to end it and hand over back to the organizers for any other announcements and comments. But thank you very much for listening to me. And I look forward to seeing all these advocacy structures. And as I say, don't keep quiet. Penyania Panagia. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Prof. We really thank you for putting much time and expertise to deliver this training. We thank also the ICA and key promoters for taking care of the technical logistics to make this training possible, especially Marianne and Maria Paula. We thank Dr. Andira, the ICA Africa Programme Coordinator. And finally, we thank the participants for an interactive and active session. Really, without you, this training would have not been a success. If I may just mention, we have the highest attendance of training since we have done the ICA training, ICA Africa Programme training. This is the most attended, and I can see engagement. There's a lot of questions that needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the training. Thank you so much once again. But before we leave, take this opportunity to let you know that there's an open call that is coming for applications to participate in an on-site workshop that will be in November 2025 in South Africa. And the workshop will be on emergency response for documentary heritage. So look out for the call. It will come out soon. It will be partly funded, and emails will be sent to you. Another announcement, activists, record managers, I believe you know June. When it's June, we think of International Archives Week. International Archives Week is also coming from the 3rd to the 9th of June. The announcement is that if you have any events to promote archives during that week, please share that with the ICA for dissemination and publication. And finally, I have announcements. We also in the University of Botswana next week will be having a session on Universal Declaration on Archives. I don't know how much of us here know about the Universal Declaration on Archives. Check the University of Botswana Facebook page for details and register for that session. And with that, thank you all for this session, and look out for other sessions from the ICA Africa program. Thank you.